Alright, here is the video review for Maketoys DOWNBEAT. And I don't think I need to tell you who this is supposed to be, but I will, it's Jazz. Anyway, he comes with, as you can see over here, lots of little accessory pieces. Although the only ones that are really relevant to the vehicle mode right now are these speakers. Because these speakers, if you wish, can plug in back here to the rear of the vehicle mode. So we can blast some tunes as a car. There you go. We'll come back to those in robot mode. Now, as a car, like you said, he's a very nice representation of the old Porsche. Nice painted rims here. Wheels roll very steadily. Rubber tires here. At least rubberized plastic. You can pull them off if you want. I wouldn't. And he rolls quite well. A fairly clean underside. I mean, you can see, well, there's some parts, but it's not a super, here's arms and legs, super obviously on the underside. Now, there's been a lot of complaints, and I get them, about these two white pieces down here. It would have been nice if there were a way to slide them up kind of into these gaps. Because the piece that it forms on the leg, not super necessary, but at the same time, without them, you'd have just exposed gray bits back there. So it's kind of a trade-off. I agree that they're a little visually unappealing, but at the same time, when you got them down in car mode, that looks pretty good, and you're not really seeing, you know, it's only if you display them on your shelf in car mode driving like that, those are really going to be an issue. So yeah, I get the complaints. They are a little visually, what's the word I'm looking for? Incongruent, but I find it to be a minor visual issue at best, or at worst. I don't know. So to transform him, he's actually got a really neat transformation. I got a chance to play with an early unpainted sample of this, a very early sample of this at TFCon Chicago, and was very impressed then, and the final product really does not disappoint. The paint is really nice, the detailing is great. And one of the things you'll notice too is he's surprisingly hefty when you pick him up. And maybe that's just because I'm used to playing with like an older Jazz, but like there's some die cast back here in the legs, it feels like. But he's got a little bit of heft to him, which is nice. And a transformer, we'll just start, you just kind of crack him like this. Just a little bit like that. And you want to come up here, you want to untab these front pieces from the middle here. Lift this whole assembly up. Kind of got to wiggle it a little bit to get it going. Because you don't want to just try to lift it up right here, because you don't want to break this hinge. So you kind of got to come back here and wiggle this center section up and out. Kind of push down right here to get that tab loose. And this whole assembly can flip up just like this. And you fold in the middle tab and fold in the center. Very easy. The doors have a hinge. They don't open in vehicle mode. They're not designed to rotate that way. I'll show you what the hinge is for later. But yeah, so you take that, lift these up, go ahead and get them up out of the way here a little bit. Maybe just lift them. And there we go. Just lift them up like that. Unpeg the wheels, fold them out like this. Take his head here, hiding in the cabin. You can go ahead and push these together a little bit. So you've got that all up. Flip this panel down. You can get the wings out of the way here. Kind of lift this up a little bit. The arms come out to the side. Get these out. Bring them out and around. And once you get one out, the other one's a lot easier. But you get them out, and put this whole assembly up and around like this. You can fold the wheels in. There's little tabs here that tab in here. Yep, we get them lined up right. There we go. So fold the wheels in, snap them into place. You can get the arms all the way out. Push these pieces here together to tab together. And the arms are on little sliding mechanisms. So once you get them out, they kind of, as you pull them out, they slide about halfway down. But on this little slider here, you want to slide them all the way down here. Flip this down flat, and then you can bring this whole assembly down. Make sure this is together. And you're going to tab these little pegs, or these little tabs here, into these slots on here. But you also, when you're doing it, want to make sure that these arm tabs tab into these slots. They do tend to like wiggle loose and pop out if you're messing with the arms in robot mode. But you just bring this down. Make sure those arm tabs go in the wheels. And that these tabs go onto the red piece here. And if you miss the arm tabs, you can go back and readjust them. Helps if you lift the arm up a little bit. There we go. All right, both the arms are tabbed in, that's tabbed in, and there you go. The arms come down, and this is a really cool panel that allows the forearm to collapse up over the shoulder, like that, for vehicle mode. So you bring these down, fold this arm panel in, rotate them around so the hinge comes forward, then rotate the fists all the way around. Bring this back up. Bring his head down into the body, like that. Now there's a spot here for a repro label or a sticker. I didn't have the right size repro labels. I used them all, so I used a smaller one. I felt like he needed to have some sort of Autobot logo there. There is an official repro label set for this. I don't know if I'm just going to pick up some Autobot symbols or if I'm going to go and get the actual set for DOWNBEAT and use the properly sized Autobot symbol there. But just had to have something there. Otherwise, it's just a plain red panel. So there's the upper body more or less done. You bring now the wings, if you want to have like an old toy version, if you like the door wings, you can absolutely leave the door wings out like this. But they're intended to fold down into here, into the back. Just like that, and then you can fold the backpack up over the top of them and hold everything in place. Let's lift this up here, and here's where it gets tricky because I have watched the official instruction video, and like I said, these arm tabs, sometimes if these tabs come loose, it's possible when you're posing the arms for these tabs in here to come loose, and you can just plug them back in. Although, it's actually fairly sturdy. It doesn't happen often, but just be aware that it can pop those shoulder pieces loose, so you want to make sure that you lock them in early on. So now we come down here to the legs, and these are interesting. So first off, split them just like that, and that's nothing revolutionary. Open up this panel here, and then this whole assembly, actually you slide this up first. You may want to slide this up first, and then it should, oh, do I need to pull this out first? I need to slide this panel up. It's supposed to rotate in. Oh, maybe I do need to bring the wheel down. So bring the whole, yeah, there we go. Pull the whole side panel down. It goes this way. And then you pull the leg out and around. And as you do that, this is why you want this down. This piece rotates around like this as it extends. And then you want to tab. There's a tab right here that tabs right into here on the side. So bring that down, you can pull this panel down, and then this panel right here. And here's where I always have a problem, because this piece is on a rail, a little sliding rail, and it can clip off. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, but even with this all the way pegged in, sometimes pegging this in, you see there's a little bit of a gap there. It stays in place, but I feel like that should peg in a little bit more securely. But if I push it too far, it starts bending this piece. And I'm not sure if maybe I just need to hold this piece and push this a little further here. And that seems to have done it. So I guess there's just a little bit of massaging. So kind of put your fingers on this side of the piece and kind of push it flat. Not too hard, because you don't want to snap it off. But push it down and then push really hard on this, like right near the hinge. And that should allow it to, looks like it wraps around a lot tighter. Now it's pegged in with no gap. Lift up this piece like that. This piece comes up and around, and then this inner piece here, it kind of helps if you catch it on a tab. This little piece right here comes down and around all the way down. Keep moving. There we go. All the way down and around to the foot. And you flip this up. And this piece comes down. Rotate this whole piece down. Slide this around and out to cover that hinge. It helps you push it from the back. So this should line up, kind of curve down like this. And then here on the back of the wheel, you rotate this panel in and rotate this down to form the heel. And there's a tab here that should tab in down here. Oh, there we go. You want to fit this. There's a black tab on the black piece here that tabs into this piece. So you get that down in there and tab that piece on. And because of the way the hinge works, it can take a little fiddling. There you go. Tab that on right there. If you've got everything set up straight, it should tab in. But again, it's a little iffy. And you lift up this gray panel, pull this gray piece out, at which point the foot's on an extending hinge. It comes down and around like this. And then you fold the gray panel down. And there's his leg. And we do the same on the other side. Slide that up. And go this way. Bring that down. See if we can get this to tab in properly here. Tab it into this side first, and tab this down in here. And again, hold this in place and kind of push this at the hinge, and that should get it to lock into place securely without a gap. There's his knees. Anyway, okay, so we'll come down here. We'll bring this down and around. Get that in place. Flip this panel down. There you go. It should meet like that. Flip this panel around to the side and this panel up, and then tab it. You can move it so it tabs into this panel right here. It doesn't want to tab in, but it's just a matter of, you know, massaging this little hinge joint so it all comes together the way it should. But yeah, flip out that piece, bring the foot down. Close that up. And there he is in robot mode. It's got, you can hear the ratcheting hips. And here's his basic robot mode. Like I said, these little panels down here by the foot, like I said, these are those annoying panels in vehicle mode. And I feel like if these weren't here, the leg really wouldn't look that bad. It's just kind of an extra piece that hangs down here. So, maybe not needed. Like I said, less of an eyesore in vehicle mode than I think it's been made out to be. But it is, I totally understand why people are annoyed by it. So anyway, well, let's do postability real quick. He's got a ball jointed head here. You can look up and down. Make sure that goes all the way in. On his neck, he's got the dual swivels at the shoulder, bicep swivel, a dual hinged elbow. Which again, just due to the way the arms and shoulders come together, you can't get a full all the way up against his bicep, but a pretty decent range of motion there in the elbow. Wrist swivels, the fingers open. It's all one piece hand here. Or at least the fingers are all one piece, you know what I meant. Close that up. Does have a waist swivel. It's got the ratcheting hips, both forward and backward. Thigh swivel. Dual hinge knees, although again, because of the car bits back here, you can't get them quite up onto his back like some figures can. But he's got a pretty decent range of motion in the knees. He does have ankle tilt as well as front to back there on the foot. So all in all, pretty posable. Now, accessories. He's got his handgun, which Like every handgun, it's got some little tabs. And you go ahead and plug it right in there. Close his hand around it. Done. He's got, if you wish, a shoulder launcher. And it goes on this side. It's designed to go on this side. There's a little slot here on this piece that just comes in and slides onto here. It's very easy to knock it off, but it is supposed to just plug in right there on the shoulder, and it can move up and down. So you've got that. Let's come up a little bit and back, get it all in the frame here. The speakers, as I mentioned before, can peg in behind his shoulders. There's little peg holes right up here next to the screw. These can go in if you want to have him to have the speakers up here. He also comes with these little speakers that can attach to his waist. And again, the tab's on the bottom, so you want to make sure you're going on the right side here, but these can little tab onto his waist flaps if you want. He also has a little grappling hook mechanism, which again, there's a tab on there. It doesn't completely obscure or cover his hand, but you can put it in his hand. Well, it's a little difficult. There you go, like that. Although now his hands go, there we go. So you can attach it to his arm. Again, you still see his hand in there, but it looks like his arm attachment. It's a little grappling hook. You can reel it out. Here, it clicked. It's got a pretty decent length of rope on it, and then you have to manually wind it back up. So yeah, he's got that. And then of course he has two extra faces. Now you zoom in on this. There's his standard face, and it's just kind of a stoic expression. But you can pop his helmet off and then pop the little face piece off. And you can swap it out with a couple of different faces. You can give him his kind of, hey yeah, sassy face. Oh, come on, go back on. Oh, I'm sorry. Push this. Oh, it is all the way on. Yeah, so he's got a little bit of a sassy face there. And then he's got a holy crap face, which we'll get to in a second. There we go. I call this his Christopher Lloyd face because it looks like that bit in Back to the Future where they're in the lab and... Come on. Why aren't you being my friend here today? Make sure you have the faces pushed on all the way, yeah. Kind of looks like when Christopher Lloyd puts the little wind-up car and it goes off the table and hits a bin of oily rags and catches on fire. But yeah, so you've got some face options. I'll probably just leave the standard face on there, but it's nice to know you got options if you want them. Come on, there we go. And for a quick robot mode size comparison with another MP, here he is with side swipe. And helps if they're focused. So height-wise, he fits in with a lot of the previously released MP cars. I think he's an excellent rendition of Jazz. Like I said, he was really good as a test shot at TFCon, and the final improvements they made to him just really put some polish on him. I really like this figure of Jazz. But yeah, there he is. Oh, one other quick comparison. Here he is with... forgot like the Generation Toy Jazz. And Generation Toy Jazz, I think, is a really nice version of the kind of, not quite E.J. Sue-ish design, but modern comic jazz, updated jazz. But Downbeat is very clearly a G1 Jazz, and I really dig him. So yeah, there it is. Maketoys Downbeat.